So, I've recently played through Prototype for the very first time, and I'm surprised that I didn't stumble into this game during my teen years, given its apocalyptic themes and gruesome action. Developed by Radical Entertainment, whom we're familiar with on this channel, I didn't really know what to expect looking back on their catalogue. Was this going to be like Simpsons Hit and Run with fun and silly cartoon action, or a boring linear slog through grey environments like that mediocre Hulk game? Well, I got one of those guesses correct. Given its release in the midst of the PS3, Xbox 360 generation of gaming, you can expect to see a lot of dull, grey environments. But what really matters here is whether the core of this gritty, open-world experience is still worth playing today. So, let's check it out. Hang on, hold up! Before we start the video, I need to address something very important, okay? No, I have not played the infamous games, okay? Can we make that perfectly clear right now? Looking online, these franchises are compared all the time, given the similar themes, gameplay. Hell, they both released in 2009, mere weeks apart. But I just wanted to make it crystal clear for all of you that no, I have not played any of the infamous games. And until I do, well, we're just simply not going to talk about it. Okay, we're here to talk about Prototype. Okay, so let's pop the game in. Look at this game jumped out of the case. Let's pop the game in and check it out. The story here is that a deadly virus has been unleashed upon New York City, contorting infected into twisted fleshy creatures. Alex Mercer is somewhat immune to the effects, gaining deadly shape-shifting powers, allowing him to transform his body into a weapon, with huge crushing fists, sharp daggers and tendrils with a long reach, along with a whole host of other attacks that we get to upgrade over the course of the game. But not only is his body a weapon, the virus has also heightened his agility, which allows for free-running obstacles, leaping from buildings and gliding all over Manhattan, making this open world a breeze to navigate as we begin our search to uncover the truth about the virus and ourselves. If you've ever played the Spider-Man 2 movie game from back in the day, or obviously the newer Spider-Man games from Insomniac, Prototype definitely feels like a stepping stone in the middle, learning to run so that the genre could one day reach its maximum potential, and seeing the evolution of NYC across these games is always interesting to me. The rapid, fluent movement is so incredibly satisfying to master, although sometimes it can be a bit finicky and unpredictable in specific areas, especially as you get faster as the game goes on, but there is still no denying just how fun this is. Those rare awkward moments don't stop you in your tracks. In fact, not much can. Most standard enemies such as infected or military go down quite easily, but then you can go pick up a car or something and fling it into a crowd, or just charge your way through everything in your path. It's great, hella addicting. This kind of stupid and ridiculous Sandbox style steps away from the structure of Grand Theft Auto as the industry leader in open world games. With the hero themes, I compared it to Spider-Man, mostly because of the New York connection, but Crackdown is also a franchise that comes to mind while playing this. Ah, poor Crackdown. I feel like most people forget how fun this was because of the Halo 3 demo back in the day, but seriously, I love this game, even if it can get repetitive after a while. Jumping around, causing havoc and cleansing the map is so fun, and back in Prototype, the format is once again successful. And without going totally overboard into an embarrassingly try-hard comedy that Saints Row is known for, this has found a good balance, I think, between treating the narrative and logic within the world grounded, while still allowing you to have some fun in such a hectic playground. One of the things I really can appreciate is that the story-focused missions don't seem to slow the pacing down very often. You know what I mean, going out and having a lot of natural feedback to your actions from the world around you is so good, and then most games would force you into a bland, scripted, narrative-focused mission. Whereas that's simply not the case here. Cutscenes are brief for a start, conveying all of the necessary information in like 30 seconds so that we can get back to gameplay, which involves a level of madness sometimes beyond what the player could achieve on their own simply trying to be a dick to people on the street. And there are so many types of these games out there. I've already name dropped a few standouts in this video, and many do struggle with this balance. Prototype is a really good example of how to do this, in my opinion. Not only just keeping the pacing and flow consistent, but with how many missions are structured. Clearly there is an element of hack and slash combat as the primary gameplay here, which can of course get repetitive mission after mission, but you're often free to experiment with how you complete your objective. Say for example you need to sneak into a military base. To even get through the front door you first need a key, which means grabbing the special officer and consuming him into your own being. Now that's fucking sick. You can pick up literally anybody on the street, absorb their existence into yours, and even become them as a method of stealth to avoid military strike teams, enter restricted areas, and to gain knowledge, which I'll get back to shortly. So you consume the military guard to get the key, break into the base, and get your target. You can either use stealth and distractions to get in and out like a shadow, or you can go full gung-ho and wreck the place up with wild combos. And this is just one example of the freedom we're granted. Struggling with a tough infected monster? Well, you can work hard and parry your way to a victory, or you can work smart and just go get a damn tank and blast the thing into oblivion. Yeah, as if all this wild shit wasn't enough, you can still drive tanks, fly attack helicopters, and wield a small arsenal of weapons to help you crowd control. Alex Mercer is just a bloke at the end of the day, and sometimes a good boomstick is all you need to get the job done. I just love the freedom of choice here, because for as fun and constantly evolving as the combat may be, it does get a little tired eventually. And one of the main reasons for that is the lack in enemy variety. You know, we're killing the same infected zombies and military soldiers just over and over again, and despite having an awesome moveset, you can just kind of mash buttons and get through just fine. So there's not a whole lot of depth there. So it is actually nice to be able to change things up a bit and enjoy some gun combat, which I was not expecting going into Prototype. It's especially good in crowd control situations. It really helps you just to nail out those more simple enemies really effectively. So yeah, given all these crazy superpowers, I really wasn't expecting to have anything positive to say about gun combat, but hey, it works. While the premise of missions is mostly the same each time, with the always exhausting travel here to kill this thing genre of open world gameplay, there are often slight variations that help individual missions to stand out, such as needing to defend a point on the map, use a new ability to keep mutants at bay, racing to consume an important person without being spotted, or tracking important people down and killing everyone who stands in your way without accidentally killing the VIP you're trying to follow. I had to learn that one the hard way. It does an incredible job at drip feeding in new scenarios that encourage you to explore all of your options in offense and defense. Of course, they went the route of obligatory skill tree, spending your XP to unlock new moves, upgrade your health, and overhaul your body. And it's a bit tired, definitely dating this experience as this was the hot thing in 2009. Yet a lot of games still do it very similar to this day. Had they taken the Crackdown route, this may not have felt so monotonous. In Crackdown, your abilities are enhanced based on your actions. If you use your fists a lot in combat, then you get a lot stronger. Using weapons makes you more efficient with them, driving makes you a better driver, but conversely, taking on the large map by foot increases your speed and agility, making movement a breeze. It's a great way of doing upgrades that forces responsibility onto the player to find a balance that works for them. Especially in Prototype with the additional stealth mechanics and shapeshifting, I'm disappointed at the uninspired storefront, so to speak. And speaking on the stealth stuff really quick, while it is a viable and crucial option sometimes, it does feel quite limited. Stealth in this game boils down to switching into costume at the right times and just kinda nudging your victim into a corner to consume them without anyone else seeing. And that's generally it. There is nothing regarding how you move through the environment, no cover systems or patrol routes to study. Sure, this is primarily an action game and we want that pace to stay continuous, but sometimes a good, tense stealth challenge can make all of the difference keeping things alive. We also have different thermal visions, but I can only recall twice ever needing these throughout the entire game. So while there is a lot of good, solid chaos here to enjoy, the game quickly devolves into that dreaded checklist of sandbox tropes. Outside of missions, there are various tasks to complete such as parkour races and base jumping. You'll spend a lot of time harvesting bodies for intel about the narrative by consuming people on the street and sucking their memories into your brain. This happens frequently as a way to slowly reveal the events leading up to the outbreak and uncover the large mystery at hand. It's an interesting way of presenting context, but it's nothing that we don't see during story missions, much like the military bases and infected hives that also need destroying. My god, it's one thing to do these for the first time and see that building crumble to the ground, but let me tell you, if I see this damn thing collapse one more time, I might just lose my shit. Your only motivation for taking on these tasks is the additional experience points to spend in the store, which is a necessary evil. I don't like when games suffer from this checklist of chores. Side tasks should feel natural and compelling to make the player want to seek them out and get something a little different each time. So being given the same thing over and over again on loop simply isn't long-term viable for a genre that should be ripe with replayability. And on top of that is the ever-present hidden landmarks for you to find all over the map. God, how many times am I going to have to do this in my lifetime? This isn't me bitching at Prototype, by the way, but games in general. How many New York City treasure hunts will I have to embark on before I cark it and give up on life? It's a real shame because this is a lot of fun to play, but in my experience, it's best enjoyed in short bursts. You know, focus primarily on getting through the story and just trying not to get sucked into that completionist black hole that many open world games like this just tend to fall victim to. But the problem then is that even the story, for as serviceable and intriguing as it may get at certain points, it just ultimately becomes background noise because there's nothing really that special about it. After a few hours, it becomes clear that this is mostly a set linear concept with a sandbox coat of paint, meaning that it could have very easily been a chapter-by-chapter adventure with dedicated, distinct levels, as opposed to the blanket of rampages taking place across this depressing city. What's black, white, and red all over? Prototype. Having said all of that, however, I did still enjoy my time playing the game. It was nice to try out something from an era of gaming that I grew up with that I'd missed out on, and taking in the story thankfully pays off with various twists, reveals, and unexpected moments. There aren't too many boss battles to froth over, but my god, when they do appear, everything stops but the sweat dripping from your nervous body. One of the big endgame moments is battling this huge fungal monstrosity in Times Square, requiring multiple rounds of non-stop attack waves, keeping you on your toes looking for an alternate strategy the entire time because, I mean, if you were planning to just stand at its feet, tickling the weak spot, then you're shit out of luck. It's an epic moment, but a total clusterfuck at the same time, and we have all of these various abilities at our disposal, yet nothing seems to really work. You could argue that the different movesets are well balanced with no single perfect solution, but it's actually the opposite. Blades always seem more efficient than brute force, in my experience anyway, so when your go-to option also doesn't get the job done, then you're left scrambling for somewhere to hide and regroup as your armor crumbles. Attack combos and special moves can also get a bit tricky, requiring you to press or hold various buttons to get different moves. Pressing buttons next to each other is one thing, but having to hop between X and B while also jumping around with the A button constantly is often just too much for my ape brain to grasp. It feels a little unnatural if I'm being honest, like it was designed to be played with an arcade stick or something. But when you do nail these special moves just right, it's pure satisfaction seeing your enemies drop at your feet, fall from the sky and shrivel up to pass away. All in all, Prototype is absolutely a product of its time. There's no hiding from that. The bleak visuals, checklist-style missions and upgrade system, open yet not fully realised mechanics. I can't deny that despite all of that, it's still a great time. Honestly, I really enjoyed playing this game, so much so that I decided to make this video. Honestly, any game that lets you lasso a helicopter out of the sky, hijack it and blow up an entire city block of zombies deserves an episode on the channel. The explosive, visceral action is so awesomely addictive, a simple formula done well for the time, while not drastically standing out from the pack beyond the shape-shifting, transformation themes. It does struggle with maintaining consistent interest, and outside of the story, you're really not missing much. What really hooked me in the end with Prototype though was the way that it told its story, concisely, in pieces of a puzzle that required the player to fill in the gaps on their own time, which was definitely enjoyable doing. Even though I still enjoyed my time with Prototype, I honestly couldn't go any higher than a 6 out of 10, which isn't bad. That is still a decent score, meaning that I would recommend trying it out if you're looking to scratch that Sandbox itch, but beyond that, there really isn't much else on offer here, for my taste anyway. However, the game would also get a sequel a handful of years later, which was the final Radical produced game before dissolving into the juggernaut Activision Blizzard we know today. So I'm definitely curious to try that out in the future, along with the infamous franchise, to see how they compare. But it just doesn't matter to me how samey these sorts of games can get, because every once in a while, I just crave an experience like this. Just a dumb, mindless sandbox to go and rampage through. So for that, Prototype gets the job done. So until next time, I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and remember to share this video with your friends on social media, and join our Discord server at the link in the description. I'm Eyed Jak, and I hope you have a great fucking day. Thanks for watching.